Hello, and thanks for joining us. Today on Arizona Week, breast cancer. For women, it's one of the leading causes of death. In Arizona, every year, more than 3,400 women are diagnosed. One of those women is Jackie La Madrid, a wife, a mom, and now a patient receiving chemotherapy. A careful balancing act, it's the fight of her life.
This is yours. These for you. Let me get your pants. Did you brush your teeth already? Here, look. Here. Oh, that shirt's not your size. Put your shoes on. You have to pee? Okay, go ahead. Oh, buckle your pants. Suck it in. Okay. There you go. Let's go get your socks. You want some fresh orange juice? I'll make it. With apples? You don't know what you're missing. All of it. It's a lot of organizing myself and my family. Dame un beso. To pick up 2 from here, 2 from elementary, 1 from preschool. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. And those papers are supposed to have been turned in the day before yesterday. Me and Roberto flip houses. Lali, Martín, buenos días. ¿Por qué no cierra esto? He needs to come right now and paint every single door in this house. So it's jotting down everything that we have to do, what's missing for the day. Oh, you're missing a doorknob here. Sí. My name's Jacqueline La Madrid. I'm 31. I'm a mother of 4, 3 little boys and 1 little girl. My husband is Roberto La Madrid, and I have Roberto, he's 9. Rodrigo is 7, he just turned 7. Tie your shoe, Roque. Roque will turn 5 on Sunday, and Romina turned 1 in January. Okay, so February, I went in to take a shower in the morning before I got the kids ready to go to school, and when I was taking a shower, I felt a bump on my right breast. 2 weeks after that, I had a doctor's appointment. She felt the lump on my breast. They called me and they said that the doctor needs to see you. Can you come into the office? And I said, can you just give me my results over the phone? And she's like, no, they need to see you. And I was like, okay, I have breast cancer. We walk in on Friday and she sits us down and she's like, you have breast cancer. That's pretty much how she said it. And I'm like, I just remember putting like my hands over my eyes and just like dropping my head and crying.
Okay. All right, here we go.
And so I asked her, so how many months do I have to live? And she's like, no. She's like, it's a very fast spreading cancer that you have. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's spreading. Okay, it's spreading. What do I do now? It's spreading. Okay. I always remember she told me, she's like, you grab your family by one hand and you grab God by the other hand and you walk down this tunnel and you don't look back. Well, okay, I guess I'll just walk through the tunnel and not look back. Got to the house, talked to my family, cried a little bit, and the next day cried a little bit. Kind of was like if you're in a dream the next day, kind of waiting to just wake up, I guess. And then the next day I was like, no, like I'm not gonna cry about this anymore. So now we're waiting for a whole week after that to see the oncologist. So when we get there, he's like, it's not spreading. It's still there. And I'm like, oh God, thank you. It was like the best news I think I've ever got in my life. The doctor said, well, you have it on your right breast. You don't have anything on your left breast. What do I need one breast for? So I said, cut both of them off. When it first happens, you look down, you get out of being all groggy from your anesthesia and your drugs and everything. And I just had bandages around me. And when I got to the house, I told Erika, my sister, and my mom, I told them I don't want to look down. And I just stared at myself for a little bit. And I think I cried one more day after that. And I haven't cried about it ever since. I can't be surprised that I have cancer. I'll put it that way. I can't be surprised because I smoked, because I ate very bad. I have completely changed my lifestyle. I started smoking when I was 17. just occasionally. And then that turned into like a heavy smoker, like a pack a day kind of smoker for years and years until I'd get pregnant, and then I'd stop smoking the second I found out, till a few months after I had them, stop breastfeeding, and then I'd start again. And it was just a cycle over and over and over. And I realized that cancer has a lot to do with what we eat, a lot to do with what we eat and the environment, of course. And so I started the Gerson therapy, and it's juicing. It's 90% juicing, and it's 10% cooked vegetables. They say that sugar feeds cancer cells. So that's the last thing I wanted to do, was feed my cancer cells.
We talked about immunosuppression, that your immune system is compromised. So
traveling is probably one of the hardest parts of this whole cancer journey, because although I have got some things done in Sierra Vista, my chemo will be in Tucson. So it's a 2-hour drive. So we go 120 miles to Tucson every week. I decided to go to UMC because I feel like that's the best place I could get treated at.
Good pitch.
The hardest part of this whole journey would probably be not being able to pick up my daughter.
There we go. Go, go, go! Yeah! Good job, Riley!
So we knew that we had to have a game plan for the whole mastectomy thing. Well, my mother-in-law stays at home. So she offered to, she said, the whole time that you're doing this, she's like, I'll take the baby. We could figure out a way to make it work. She's like, you guys could come over after your work day is done. We can meet each other at the games. You guys could come say goodnight to her, kind of put her to sleep, and in the morning, see her again so she sees you guys when she wakes up. And I know she doesn't forget me, because she can't, because I see her every day, all day. But what if she doesn't think I'm her mom anymore? I see her sometimes and she clenches onto my mother-in-law, and I just kind of cringe inside. And it's not jealousy or anything, it's just that should be me, but I can't do it. I don't know what I would have done without them, without my husband, without my mom and dad.
Where's my dad?
Ay, aquí estoy. Como todo tiempo. No más aquí en la casa, no.
Without my mother-in-law, especially with helping me with the baby.
Ay, qué amor.
I talk to my mom and dad every day, to my brothers and sisters every day, to my mother-in-law every day. Before this happened, it was like that.
Bye. Bye.
We're very close-knit, and it's always been like that, and I'm very lucky.
There we go.
I want my kids to know that nothing's going on.
Hey, come here. Tie your shoe. Here, JJ's gonna tie it for you.
I do everything so that they could see that everything's fine.
No. Tie his shoe. Attaboy, Rodri.
I'm not gonna miss a baseball game. I don't care if it's chemo day and I feel horrible. I'm gonna be at their baseball games. I'm gonna be at their assemblies. I'm gonna take them to school. If it kills me, if I'm at the end of the day exhausted, but they saw me the whole day fine and happy and excited to see what they're gonna do.
Yeah, good job, Rodri.
That's what I want them to know, is that I didn't struggle through this. They can know it when they're older, but right now I don't think they need to know that.
Breast cancer typically affects older women. At 31, Jackie's case is unique. Dr. Pavani Chalasani, an oncologist at the University of Arizona Cancer Center, is treating Jackie.
Typically, breast cancer is cancer as women get older. So over 60 or 65, 1 in 8 women are known to have breast cancer, but not young women. But we are seeing more young women getting diagnosed. There's more awareness. There's no particular, when you think about the overall statistics, the number is still on the lower side. But for Jackie's, yes, it is rare to have a young woman to have that kind of cancers. If you have a strong family history, like genetic mutations, those do tend to predispose, but for her it was not the case.
So why does Jackie have cancer? I know that's a tough question, but what sorts of things may have helped cause this?
So for her in particular, in general for women, when we are looking at the risk of breast cancer, we look at their age of first childbirth, when they undergo menarche or menopause, age, like I said, age of first birth, did they breastfeed, any hormone replacement therapy, things like that. But for Jackie, none of, family history of breast cancer, but for Jackie, none of those were there. There was nothing which she did not have any of those risk features. She was young, she had a kid, early on. There was really no risk factors, and majority of those do also go more for estrogen receptor positive or hormone receptor positive breast cancer, which is the most common type of breast cancer. But for Jackie, again, that was not the case.
Jackie seems to think she somehow caused this, maybe with smoking or diet. Is that an outrageous idea, or does it make sense to an oncologist?
So smoking and certain diets are related to cancer, but not the one Jackie has. It's hard because we always tend to be hard on ourselves. But I've been trying to talk to Jackie and say that it is not. I don't think she could have done anything or not done anything. We could have prevented this. There are a good equivalent. She's not supposed to have cancer at this age, and she did. And smoking is known to be associated with lung cancers, not strongly associated with breast cancer, but still smoking is not good for you. But at the same time, smoking, we talk about how many years of smoking and how much are you smoking to. Again, Jackie's not even old enough to have had exposure to those not so good habits that she keeps on thinking, even for long term too.
Jackie is cancer-free, but she does have to undergo chemotherapy. Why?
Because the odds of some cells leaking before the cancer was ever removed from our body were pretty high, depending on the size of the tumor and the biology of the tumor. And because of the size of Jackie's tumor and the biology and her age, chemotherapy has been shown to decrease the incidence of this cancer coming back. Not for new cancer, but that cancer coming back are going to reduce with the chemotherapy, because no matter where in your body, it's the same kind of cell with the same biology. So we're trying to attack them.
Can you describe chemotherapy, what the process is, what it really does to these cells?
So chemotherapy, the reason it's still around now in the age of all the targeted therapies is because it's effective. So the chemotherapy, majority of them are designed to kill cells which divide fast, which is typically the cancer cell. But chemotherapy is not a very smart cell that way, so it divides cells it kind of kills cells, all which are dividing fast. It doesn't differentiate between a normal cell versus a cancer cell. Any cell which is growing fast. So selectively, the cancers are dying, but in the same range. That's the reason we lose hair, because our hair is constantly growing. But the other main area with chemotherapy is our immune suppression, because our bone marrow is constantly making our white blood cells, our red blood cells, and our platelets. But they're going to go down with the chemotherapy, but our bone marrow is healthy, so it's going to recover. Chemotherapies, majority of them are given IV. They go in and they go out of your body within 24 to 48 hours. So chemotherapy is not going to be in your body for the whole 3 weeks. But the chemotherapy regimens are given either every 2 weeks or every, weekly, every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks based on the regimen. But the reason we give the break is because depending on the regimen, we want your body to recover. The chemotherapy is not going to be in for three weeks then. It goes in, does its cell killing, and it gets out.
She decided to have a double mastectomy. Why was that the best decision, or why would a young person make that decision?
For Jackie, I think for her it was really a very emotional decision when she was diagnosed with that, so she really wanted to. But we did talk about that it was not indicated for her. So bilateral mastectomy is indicated for certain women, for certain cancer types, when there's a genetic mutation, a very strong family history, or personally when they're having multiple cancers, or if lumpectomy is not an option. But for Jackie, it was just really hard for her, so I think she chose to do the bilateral mastectomy. But for triple-negative cancers, if there is no otherwise indication, getting a lumpectomy with radiation is a very good option too.
The chances of mom, sister, or even daughter having breast cancer are slim at this point.
So The main thing is, even though the mutation is negative, it could mean two things. A, it's completely sporadic, like it was just of a luck of a draw, and it ended up being, Jackie ended up having, and it might, her parents or siblings or daughter might not be related. However, it also means that it could be a mutation that we do not know right now. We haven't figured it out. However, the other main thing we need to remember is the family history of firstborn. So her daughter, if her mother gets diagnosed at 30, having a immediate relative with breast cancer at a young age does put you at a higher chance of developing a breast cancer. So it's important to be aware. Same thing for her sister and her mom too. I mean, having an immediate first-hand relative being diagnosed with breast cancer increases your risk of breast cancer.
Jackie appears to be quite proactive. What is the prognosis for her over the next few months?
It's pretty good. I mean, I just talked to her over the phone, and the first few days after chemotherapy, she said she was tired, which is expected. But today she feels like nothing has ever happened. She even didn't go through chemotherapy. Not everyone is going to have such a breeze through like Jackie might have. I mean, even she's going to have some tough days or things. But the goal is to remember is, what are the side effects, and talking to your oncologist so that they can adjust it. We start off with the standard doses, and making sure, but we can always tailor it to what's right for the patient. And that's the reason, we monitor them very, very closely with their chemotherapy, because it's a big thing for them. So we have to make sure we adjust the doses, we adjust the medications or other treatments if we need to, so that it becomes easier for her.
Oftentimes we hear the word cure, and as patients we think we're in the clear, and for physicians, cure means something different.
For me, it's like, if that cancer doesn't come back, and what are the odds of that? And everyone wants to use the word cure, and I want to use the word cure too, but I also want to be cautious, when I'm trying to give it, because there's a lot more emphasis put on the word than actually what it means or what I'm trying to explain. So I use the word the last. Not that I don't want to give them the hope, but it's just that, you have to explain to them what it is. So like I said, yes, as far as I know, if Jackie asks me, am I cured? Well, I cannot see any cancers, but none of us can see those cells.
Jackie lives in Douglas. It's a 2-hour drive to Banner University Medical Center in Tucson, where she's being treated. Last summer, Douglas's only hospital closed. Here's Dr. Daniel Dirksen from the Arizona Center for Rural Health.
The challenges for rural Arizona include that there's fewer health professionals practicing in rural areas. We have about 85% of our population that lives in the large metropolitan areas of Phoenix and Tucson, Pima County and Maricopa County. And about 90% of the health professionals practice in those two areas. So the remainder of the population lives in smaller communities in Arizona, yet has fewer health providers. So that's probably the main issue, is trying to access high quality care in rural areas. There's other challenges that we have in rural areas. There's a higher percentage of uninsured. The per capita income is about $7,000 less per person in rural areas. We have a higher percentage of the population in rural areas that's elderly. So we have some of those challenges. And then there's not as many hospitals within the geographic area. There's not as many clinics. So when a community like Douglas loses a hospital and 60 jobs go away, it not only affects those jobs in the health area, but also the community's jobs in things like the pharmacy and the nursing home and the other things that relate to the health infrastructure.
Why is it so hard to recruit physicians or other medical staff to a small town?
There's a number of variables that affect the likelihood that a health professions graduate will go into a rural area. And what we try to do in the admissions process is account for some of those, that we would like to see our health professions graduates go into areas of need and go into the high need specialties. Those more likely to go into rural areas in practice, whether they're nurses or physicians or dentists, are individuals that have grown up in a rural area or have a spouse that grew up in a rural area. The other part that we can influence in our health professions training programs is providing experiences so that people do rotations in rural areas. Perhaps during residency training, they have a continuity clinic where they're actually seeing patients on a regular basis in a rural community. the health professions training programs that have done the best as far as recruiting and retaining individuals after graduation to rural areas are those that offer a significant portion of the training experience in those types of communities.
What sorts of things have happened to healthcare in the last few years that have sort of perpetuated this problem or maybe created it?
Well, there's a perfect storm of things that have challenged the fiscal viability of rural hospitals. I was just looking at the data this morning, and 72 rural hospitals have closed since 2010. So just in 6 years, we've had 72 rural hospitals close. Over the last 25 years, we've had almost 500 rural hospitals close. The estimate is that there's another 500 to 700 hospitals that are vulnerable to closure. And part of the challenge for rural hospitals is that if you don't have a positive fiscal margin, if you're running a deficit, you can't keep your doors open. So they always say, no margin, no mission. And some of the challenges for the rural hospitals have been the change in the way that Medicare pays for care. In the past, there's been a slight differential so that rural hospitals got paid a little bit more by one of the largest public insurers, Medicare. And those have been ratcheted down, and it's very hard for rural hospitals because they have to keep their doors open even though they have small volume. And so those changes in payment by Medicare, a state's Medicaid program may change payment, and even a slight decrease, a 1 or 2% decrease in payment can influence whether or not your numbers are in red or in green, you know, that you're doing well or that you're really challenged.
Cancer impacts nearly every part of a person's life. At the Arizona Cancer Center in Tucson, financial counselors help patients navigate their treatment plans. Wendy Andrews lost her own mother to breast cancer and developed a grid to guide patients through the process of managing their health care.
One of the most important things for me, having a mother who passed away from breast cancer, was making sure patients had access, because it was really interesting sitting with her one evening and saying, you know, as a cancer patient, I don't know how patients do this and navigate through the system. And I'm so fortunate to have you as my daughter to be able to help with this. And it really kind of resonated with me as to how real that was, and having, you know, a mom that had really good access to somebody that could help with navigating that, was that on a financial strain for people is that we need to do a better job at making sure that patients know and facilities know what help is out there.
If someone is diagnosed with cancer here at Banner University Medical Center and right away they're thinking about the cost, there are options for them.
Yes, yeah. Again, we have financial counselors that meet with them to really discuss all of the available options that we have, and working with them to make sure that, number one, they get the treatment that really is for them, and that's first and foremost. It's the best that the provider feels that is going to work for them. And then we work on what other measures we have to help them make sure that everything that is being asked for the patient to receive, we can help them. And even if the insurance company is denying that therapy, which will ask for an authorization up front, or what's called a predetermination if they don't authorize, we will go to the manufacturer and can work on actually getting free drug for the patient. If the therapy is even currently in a clinical trial that isn't available to us at our institution, we can work with the manufacturers on getting the drug available for the patient.
After a patient is diagnosed with cancer, what does he or she need to know?
I think the biggest thing for patients is if they aren't being informed, especially about the financial, is to ask. I know we try to do our best in making sure that we identify all the different services that a cancer patient's going to have, to make sure that they understand even what needs authorized and what doesn't. I mean, those can differ from one insurance company to another. And it's really important for them to understand what that is. And I think the other thing is, if they don't understand their benefits, to come in and ask. We look at their benefits and we try to help them understand what those benefits are and what that means to them. Because you can have an insurance for 10 years and don't realize each year your deductible can be changing, your co-insurance can be changing, even the benefits can change and you don't realize that. So I think that's really important for patients to know, that they need to be able to understand what their benefits cover.
Jackie is receiving chemotherapy for the next 3 months. In July, she expects to be well on the road to recovery, and she's taking every day in stride.
I don't know what the symptoms are for brain cancer or for lung cancer or for colon cancer. I don't know about that. All I could say is, from my experience, I found a lump in my right breast. And I thank God every day that He put that bump where He put it, because I felt it. Other people can't feel it. I never would have felt that if I didn't literally run into it or brush it with my hand. If you feel one little bump, go to the doctor. You might be in stage 1. You might be in stage 2. It might be benign. It might not be anything. But if it is and you catch it early, you can have the same opportunity I had to get it cut off and to start chemotherapy and to watch your kids grow up.
I know.
Some people aren't that fortunate. Some people don't feel it. Some people start feeling sick to the point that where they're at stage 4 already, and there's nothing they could do. I am very blessed. I don't look at this as a burden. I don't look at this as a curse on myself. I look at this as a second opportunity to do my life completely different and to let all negativity go and to not hold on to grudges and to start a different lifestyle and to be thankful for everything you're blessed for.
No.
And that's our program. We hope to tell you more about Jackie's progress in the coming months. If you'd like to learn more about the financial counseling services available at the Arizona Cancer Center, we've posted a link on our website. For all of us at Arizona Public Media, I'm Lorraine Rivera. Thank you for joining us.